Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Russian Federation Parliamentary Elections of 2007. Today, candidates from the following parties, the Communist Party, the Liberal Democrats, United Russia and Yabloko, will each have 7 minutes to present to you their party's manifesto. After this, your votes will be cast in a first round of voting. Then you will have the opportunity to ask these candidates any questions which you may have. Following this, a final round of voting will take place to conclude today's final voting process. Now I'll explain to you how the electoral system works. There are 450 Duma seats available. All Duma seats will be assigned to the parties winning a minimum of 7% of the national vote. This is provided that at least 2 parties win seats, and the combined total of these parties is more than 60%. If the result is 60% or less, then those parties below 7% will be awarded seats in proportion to the number of votes gained. There is no minimum turnout required for the election to be valid. Next, the voting process itself. You each have an electronic handset. Please leave this switched off until the voting begins. In order to vote, press the colour button which responds to the party of your choice. You may change your mind as many times as you wish until the cut-off time from which the last vote will be taken. To ensure your vote is registered, please make sure your handset is pointed at the infrared box at the front. Okay, thank you. I will now hand over to my colleague who will begin the process.
Good afternoon. Our first speaker will be from the Communist Party, and the speaker's name is Gennady Zyuganov.
Men, women, children of Russia, the time for responsible decisions is here. I stand before you today not as a power-hungry autocrat to which we've become so used in the past decade. I'm here as your fellow Russian, determined to create a government that serves the needs of the people, not uses the people to legitimize its own autocracy. By coming here today, you and I are exercising our democratic right to free speech, and this is something that our current leader will use violent means to withhold. I'm going to expand upon this and other reasons why change is so desperately required in our momentous land, and why that change can only be achieved through the Communist Party of the Russian Federation. Many of you will be aware of the shameful acts that have taken place in the run-up to this election. According to an RFE-RL poll, nearly 2/3 of Russians believe this election won't take place honestly. Perhaps even more worryingly, just 1 in 5 believe that the outcome will reflect the will of the electorate. The Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which oversees that elections are conducted freely and fairly, has boycotted our forthcoming ballot. I quote political scientist Vladimir Gelman from the European University of St. Petersburg. He says, "You can compare this situation to a football match, in which the result is known in advance. The referee completely favours one team, and the spectators are not interested in one team or the other." Additionally, we have seen the breaking up of peaceful demonstrations by the police. On Sunday, more than 1,000 people set out for the office of Moscow's Central Election Committee to deliver an appeal for fairness in today's ballot. Hundreds of arrests later, however, just a few turned up. The UN has responded with concern at this blatant breach of human rights. Whether the aforementioned are as a result of or a cause of the current government's action has now become irrelevant. Today, you have the chance to vote for change, regardless of what has gone on before. You can alter the fate of our great country with a flick of a pen or the press of a button. And I will now explain why change should be turned to the hands of the CPRF. First, we will halt our nation's demise. We believe that citizens should work in order to live, not live in order to work under the constant threat of competition. This means we would guarantee the rights to work, housing, free education, free medical care, and with the benefits and the minimum wage that reflect the real standard of living that Russians should expect. Secondly, families and mothers will be supported in every way possible. The position of women in society must be changed dramatically, so that they can cast off the shackles of Western sexuality. This will be done through the necessary maternity leave and financial support from the state. We must also secure preference for domestic manufacturers, whilst encouraging competitive output through reforms in tax, credit and customs policy. This will be ensured through the stability of Russia's vast natural resources. I also firmly believe that the peasantry is the mainstay of our state and must be supported as such. We will ensure equal conditions for all forms of farming through labour-based possession without the right to buy and sell land freely. Finally, property relations must be democratised. The branches of industry that are vital for our great land's development must remain in the hands of the state. The right of unions and collectives to control the management of enterprises must also be preserved. Many of you, I fear, will be suspicious of the communist label attached to our party. I can assure you, however, that to vote for the CPRF is not to return to the dark days of mysterious disappearances through the night and the indiscriminate support of failing industries. We have learned from our past mistakes, and that is why it is vital you vote for the CPRF today. United Russia and its cronies are using you, Russian citizens, as a means to their own ends. We can return power to the people while Soviet infrastructure is still in place. This is why, until now, we have resorted to electoral means of change. Before long, however, Putin and co. will have condemned Russia to a fate that will not be alterable through parliamentary means. The past 15 years have taught us to change. We know the communist system was not infallible. We also know how once again to make Russia great. Putin and his Kremlin cronies have lost touch with reality. We operate 27,000 organisations in all of Russia's 89 regions. We know what your needs are, and we can serve those needs. We are the people. Vote for the Communist Party of the Russian Federation today. Thank you.